Hello, my name is James and you're watching Macabre Manscape. Don't mind my slightly disheveled appearance. I was a +1 at a corporate holiday event last night in Berkeley, and I just got home like an hour ago and decided, let's talk about some records. Today on the channel, we are doing the Metal Tag 2026. This is a long-running tag originally created by the Rock Scout here on YouTube and has since taken over by the Heavy Metallurgy guys, as the Rock Scout is kind of not really doing YouTube anymore. Priorities change, you know? I have done two of these in the past, one last year. That was one of my earlier videos back. And another one 3 years before that, I think 2022. I have printed out the questions and taken notes, so let's get to it. I realize as I'm looking at my notes and this video is progressing, I have chosen very few records to talk about that aren't exactly in my niche. Like if you don't fuck with this niche, there's really nothing for you here except for like maybe one thing down the line. But you know what, let's move on. Question 1. Giddy Up 2026 is the year of the Fire Horse. Show an album with a horse on the cover. Horse-like creatures such as Pegasus are permitted, but you lose some street cred if you show a unicorn. Now, I really don't have that many horse creature album covers. I did find 2 that are non-unicorn, of which I only have 1, but I'm not going to show that one because performativity. The first one that I immediately thought of was Phoenix by Gatho-Daemon. There's like a Minotaur or Centaur, I don't remember which one it is, with the horse body and the horse body and the human torso. Don't really remember which one that is, but it's not really the focus and it's not quite clear, and the face is too not horse-like. It's like a avian head with horns. I did realize that I do have Strength by Unto Others. Ghost Horse. Very, very worn down looking. Gatho-Daemon is a German melodic black metal band, kind of symphonic. This album leans a lot more gothic. For those of you who don't know, Unto Others is an American goth rock heavy metal fusion. Those of us in the know just say gothic metal. Pretty good stuff. There you go, Fire Horse. Question 2, Nostalgia. Show an album that you do not think is very good, but you can't bring yourself to get rid of it. I have a perfect one for this one. My first exposure to this band was a song off of this album that is Sirenia, 9 Destinies and a Downfall. This is a Norwegian gothic symphonic metal band. The first song I heard by this band was the single The Other Side off of this album. And this album's kind of rough in that, like, yes, the singles themselves, pretty strong. You have The Mind's Eye and you have The Other Side, but those 2 songs sound very similar. And if you listen to the album, the whole album is kind of like those 2 songs copied and pasted 9 times. It's kind of repetitive. So I'm not going to get rid of it. I am committed to getting the whole Sirenia discography. I'm missing some, but not very good. Not their worst either, but not very good. And I will not be getting rid of it. It's so pretty though. Question 3. Goat. Show your favorite new album release of 2025. And I just dropped my best of list last week. So you guys who watch my shit, you guys know. I Have No Excuse. This is Opus Noir Volume 1 by Lord of the Lost. Not true cult. Not, it is commercial. It is not underground at all. It's gothic metal, hyper modern, kind of has this like American new wave of like metalcore production, very Sleep Token or Bring Me the Horizon-esque production, but I think they do it really, really well, and there's a lot of guests, and it's just endlessly catchy, and I have a lot of fun listening to it. So, Opus Noir Volume 1 by Lord of the Lost. Question 4, From Beyond. Show a favorite album that is not a heavy metal album. And the one I chose was Opheliac by Emily Autumn. This is the 2010 expanded edition released on the End Records. Emily Autumn is an American industrial artist who takes very obvious aesthetic cues from kind of Tim Burton-y Victorian era. That's kind of her gimmick. Music has a lot of show tune qualities, a lot of musical theater qualities, but she also plays like classical violin and Baroque harpsichord, and all those sounds make it onto her music. And it's a really, really cool, not quite concept album, It's just a really, really cool record with very catchy songs. And it's not quite a concept album, but there's definitely a theme, a through line here. It's just very, very good. And is it a little edgy, like a little try-hard at times? But she was also only like 26 when she wrote it. So whomst among us, right? For those of you who might not know her for her own music projects, she did voice a character and do violin work for Death Clock and Metalocalypse. Number 5, The Unknown, show an album that you can't remember ever hearing someone talk about on YouTube. I actually have 2 for this one, because I couldn't decide. First is Always by The Gathering. I feel like every single time I hear metalheads bring up this band, it is for their 3rd and 4th albums, Mandillion and Nighttime Birds, respectively. Those are probably their most successful albums as a metal band before they veered off into like trip hop and atmospheric rock, kind of indie poppy, I don't know. This is probably my favorite record of theirs, and maybe even my favorite Death Doom record of all time. It just has a really nice flow, and it's not overly doomy the same way that I think the Peaceville 3's early Death Doom stuff is kind of hard to get into because it is so slow and dour and joyless. This has a great energy, flow. It's very catchy. The keyboards on it are a little cheesy at times. They sound a little plasticky, but I do think it is just a really, really good record, and the occasional guest female vocals marry very well with this sound. It's kind of like the early, like, solidified blueprint of the Beauty and the Beast style on this record. Maybe not the first, but you know, it's definitely early on in that kind of that style. The second album I want to bring up for this question was Inferno by Lacrimosa. For those who don't know, Lacrimosa is a Swiss project formed by Tilo Wolff, who I believe is either German or Austrian, and it is now mostly a 2-piece with him and his partner Ann Nurmi, who's a Finnish keyboardist. Of course, they have other band members now that, you know, play with them live, but it is primarily their brainchild. This is their 4th studio record, I believe, released in 1995. Lacrimosa is a huge band. It's very important for the development of gothic and symphonic metal in the 90s, especially that symphonic element. They were really good about being lush and orchestrated, and it was all Tilo Wolff's doing. Like, I think he just did a lot of keyboard layering, and it's done really, really well, especially on this record. This band was really, really big and prevalent when I was first getting into heavy metal and symphonic and gothic metal, and I feel like they've kind of fallen off. No one really talks about them anymore, and I feel like they are kind of cursed to be in that subcategory of band that's just like, this is huge in Latin America and Japan, and it has kind of fallen off everywhere else. It's weird that they've kind of fallen off so hard. They had a new album come out last year. Did I listen to it? Yes. Did I love it? No, so maybe that's why. Number 6, Front Loaded, show an album whose first song is its best song, and that is India by Xandria. This is a German female-fronted symphonic metal band, originally formed in the mid-90s, disbanded, reformed in the early 2000s, and that's where their career kind of picked up. And they have 2 different phases, this early material, and then the later material that's a bit more grandiose. It falls into like Nightwishy, hyper orchestrated trends of modern symphonic metal. This is a little bit more experimental in comparison. They're really trying to tap into an Evanescence epic commerciality, and this band never really got that far in these early days, or period, really. This is their 3rd studio record, released in 2005, and their weakest of their whole career, I would say. While their sophomore record is very important in their career, it is very obviously a combination of like Within Temptation, Evanescence, and Eden Bridge. And this album is a similar style, but leans more into those drum loops, samples. It's kind of all over the place. It has very little identity. And even though there are some strong songs on here, it is undeniable that that first song feels like a really solid swing, and actually kind of a hit of like a big, grandiose, full orchestrated symphonic metal track. And it's some of the strongest material this band has probably put out ever, especially in this early iteration. Number 7, Encore, show an album that you think would be better if it were longer. I'm gonna go with As Shadows Burn by Echoes of Eternity. This is an American progressive metal band. They used to be called like progressive thrash. It's a really cool band, especially this album. I think it's their best work to date. Really strong hooks, really good vocal performances. It really doesn't fall into the same production Pitfalls is their debut, which had a lot of like ugly kind of guitar tone and some weird like metalcore tendencies that kind of were distracting. This feels full-blown aggressive heavy metal with some like Black and Death kind of stank on it, and all the vocals except for like some background vocals here and there are all clean. It kind of breaks out of a lot of the 2000s female fronted kind of tropes in that it's not at all operatic, it's all very contemporary style of singing. My biggest complaint with this album is that it is just shy of 40 minutes and it's only 9 tracks. The last, like the album closer, is a 7-minute long instrumental. So almost 20% of the album's runtime is this instrumental. And there's nothing against this instrumental track. It is a pretty good one with some decent riffs. Like it has to be, if you're gonna have it, you know, be 7 minutes long, you gotta make it count for something. But if they really wanted to keep that 7-minute long instrumental track as an instrumental, it needed to have at least one more normal full song. Because at this point, it feels a little weirdly uneven, you know? Just like one more track and it would have been perfect. Number 8, Fail. Show an album you bought that disappointed you. Now, I'm not going to talk shit about this album. It's not a bad album. However, I think I pulled the trigger on buying it a little prematurely, especially since I had to like wait for like stock to come in, and then also they had to figure out their shipping situation to the US because this is a European band signed to a European label, and I just bought it directly from the label. The Immortal by In Mourning, which I know people really liked this album. I thought it was fine. When I first listened to it, I thought it was great, but I think listened to it while reading a book or like not really paying that much attention to it. So I really liked the feeling of this album, but I didn't really notice how much I wasn't like fully engaging with the material. So by the time I got it in and really listened to it deeply again, I don't know. I just don't think it's that strong. I'm not gonna call it boring. It does leave a bit to be desired, especially in terms of like kinesis and energy and flow. It doesn't engage me. So, and this is actually one of the albums that made me go, maybe I should be a little bit more selective with how I purchase new releases. I should actually probably take my time. So 2026 is gonna be like a smaller year in terms of buying, especially for new releases. 9 is The Return. Show an album you played in 2025 that you had not played in over a year. This album, I don't believe I listened to since like 2021 when I bought it. And it was one of those like, I love this band. Why don't I have this album? I should get this album. And that is Arcane Rainfell by Draconian. And I know some people consider it their best work. I have always struggled a little bit with this album. I think listening to it now, slightly older, I do appreciate a lot about this record that I couldn't previously. Like, it's overly long and a little bit too doomy and joyless. I've definitely found some great stuff on this record, and I'm glad that I really did take the time to listen to it again. It's one of those that I've just kind of been collecting dust, because I love this band, and they're supposed to drop a new album this year, so keep an eye out for that. Number 10 is Joker. Show an album with hilarious cover art. Now, I didn't really have anything that is like immediately obvious for this question. I tend to avoid bad cover arts to some extent. That being said, I'm gonna show this album. This is Opera 9's The Call of the Wood. This is their 1995 debut. And the cover art is satanic imagery with like a nude female form on it, right? It's the best of both black and gothic metal album covers in the 90s. Both tropes right together, right there. Now, the album cover itself is not horribly hilarious. However, I do like to think that the circumstance of the photo shoot for the album cover is kind of comical. You get a model to agree to be on your album cover, and the director of photography is like, all right, Francesca, put on the Baphomet hat, get your tits out, and go stand by that stump in broad daylight. Like, that's kind of funny, right? A little bit. Number 11 is Yearning. Name a potential album release you're anxiously awaiting in 2026. I don't care if you boo me. The new Evanescence album is supposed to drop this year. They kind of already, they already announced the world tour for it. We just don't have a title or a release date or even a first single yet, but it's coming probably in Q1 of this year. And I really want it to be really good, or at least interesting, because that last album I thought was kind of a dud. So I'm anxiously awaiting this album. Fingers crossed that it's something different, and then I'm not horribly disappointed with it again. Number 12, Collector Scum. In your collection, is there a pesky gap in a band's discography that you are hoping to fill? I really wanted to stay true to this word gap in this question, because I feel like there's just discographies that are incomplete that I have. So to me, I'm keeping this as literally a gap. It is a period of time in a band's discography that you are missing, surrounded, bookended by like complete discographies. For me, that's Cradle of Filth. The only album I have that I'm missing by them is Godspeed on the Devil's Thunder. And I'm missing Red in Tooth and Claw and Marrow by Matter Mortem. Those are their first two like comeback records. I have their most recent, but I'm missing those two. And the one that I'm hoping to most fill, just because like I already have the jewel case for it, is Nightwish's Imagineerum. This is their 7th studio record. I did buy it at a For Your Entertainment up in Northern California. However, the disc itself was rotted, so I did toss the disc, but I kept the jewel case just as a placeholder. I don't even love this album. I think this album is kind of like middlingly good, but I do want to fucking complete this discography because I have everything else, even the ones I hate, I have, but not this one. Number 13, Evolution. Talk about a band or album that you think is successfully moving its respective genre forward creatively. The one I chose for this is Tribulation in Rosa Sempiternum. And here's where things kind of get weird. Because I'm choosing this in some regards because it's just keeping gothic metal alive in the 2020s. There's a few bands like that are still really like maintaining it. I feel like every year there's a few major releases that everyone kind of loves, but the genre itself gets very little respect. This is my favorite subgenre. Now, what this band is doing here is probably my least favorite form of gothic metal, which is a honest-to-God combination of heavy metal and goth rock. Unto Others is a similar thing, though I think Unto Others is a little bit too tongue-in-cheek. I'm going to talk about this album specifically, and this band specifically, because their combination of gothic, you know, goth rock and heavy metal doesn't feel like anything is being sacrificed or lost. It kind of feels musically more like a goth rock album. Scything guitars, strong bass lines, but it has really nice, clean, modern metal production. The vocals are not completely, but a lot of them are growls, and the drumming feels a lot more metallic in approach. And then, of course, there just is sections of just like melodic extreme metal riffage. This band, like on paper, it's nothing unique, but I do like the way it doesn't feel like a compromise. It really does feel like a true merging of these two sounds, the post-punk and the extreme metal. And I really appreciate that. And this was a really good record. I should probably listen to it more. Number 14, Told You So. Show an album or albums that someone recommended to you that impressed you enough to purchase it. Now, I have a weird relationship with recommendations in that I don't seek them out, and I try to avoid being recommended things. And it's not that I'm not willing to listen to things, but when someone comes to me and they say like, oh, you might like this, I don't want to feel the pressure of having like the expectation of liking it. I just kind of want to go in blind. And I'm also pretty good at, you know, when I am searching for music, I'm pretty good at kind of finding bands before other people recommend them to me, right? Especially in my niches. But in 2021, 2022-ish, I specifically asked the Symphonic Metal subreddit for albums that I had missed because I kind of stopped paying attention to new releases halfway through 2015. And one band that someone did suggest to me was Moonlight Haze, and this is their debut album, De Rerum Natura. And I did like it enough to purchase it, obviously, I have it. And it's really high energy, really cleanly produced symphonic power metal out of Italy. This was actually a offshoot, like formed by ex-members of Temperance, I think, is the band. And it is catchy, and at the time I really, really did enjoy this album. I think with some time, I've kind of learned to maybe curb my enthusiasm for this album, and I kind of stopped paying attention to this band. Not intentionally, it's just I haven't been keeping up with them. There's more to listen to, and I feel like I'm assuming their newer stuff is probably better than this. And I'm not saying this is bad. It's a good album. It's hooky and energetic, and it is just a feel-good, fun record for female-fronted symphonic metal. But at the time, I definitely did roll with this enough that I went on my way to purchase it. Number 15, King Cheese. Recommend a power metal album to Marty Worm that you think is exceptional. He's always on the hunt. Now, I have very mixed feelings about power metal. I kind of find it difficult to get into, mostly because I think its epicness and its bigness and its grandiosity feels often unearned, in that, sure, it's, you know, quick-paced and the melodies are big, but I feel like there's not enough tension to keep me intrigued. It's always releasing tension and never building any. And that's not to say that I'm not open to power metal. I actually do kind of want to start trying to get more into power metal and find the artists that really, really work for me. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to do on my own time. Maybe this year I'll try. But with that in mind, here's one or two albums I think are pretty good. Orden Ogan, this is their, I don't know, 4th, 5th release, I don't know, To the End. It has a nice, like, what I understand American power metal sound like, it kind of has that, like, grittier kind of bass sound, and it has that European hypermelodicism on top of it. I think they merge these two aspects of their sound really, really nicely, and it comes together in a pretty decent package. Some nice keys, leads, great vocals, and it's not like super high-pitched wailing vocals, because I actually really can't stand when power metal singers do that. Like, it really bugs me for some reason. It just sounds like a really healthy, belty chest resonance that I appreciate. Number 2, Marty. Trust me, I know you're not really into operatics. I love operatics. I love classical vocals, vowel placement, vowel shapes. It is a sound that is nostalgic to me, and it tickles my brain in just a way. And I'm gonna say this: Nightwish, Oceanborn specifically. Listen to this album. There's some nice darkness, great keys. Give this band another chance if you haven't in a while. This album rocks. It might be my favorite Tarja Turunen performance for Nightwish. It is just big and operatic, and like there's a lot of darkness in it that I think is really missing in a lot of power metal, which is why I like early Nightwish. Power metal fucking sucks when there's no darkness. Trust me, 1998's Oceanborn, you'll find something to like about it. Number 16, 2 Minutes to Midnight. What is the last album you bought in 2025? I actually ordered 2 records by the same band on like the 28th of December, and that was the 15th anniversary version of The Heart of Everything by Within Temptation, and what was supposed to be The Silent Force by Within Temptation, but they sent me the Silent Force tour. I'm currently trying to work this out with the vendor and maybe like return it, and if they actually do have what I wanted, we'll, you know, swap. So I love this band, especially this early material by this band, and I realized, because I am on the Within Temptation subreddit, and we're doing, like, someone's doing this like song discussion post every, you know, couple times a week where we're going through discography, just talk about individual tracks. And going through the B-sides, I realize there's some B-sides by this band that I really know nothing about, and I am, for whatever reason in the past, have not really been willing to purchase multiple versions of their albums, even though this band really is important to me, and especially some of them are my favorite albums of all time, right? So I really wanted to get versions that had B-sides that I was missing in other forms or other versions that were already in my possession. So specifically that was for The Silent Force, which, whatever, I'll return it, it's fine. Number 17, Brain Drain. When feeling musical burnout, what is a nostalgic album that makes you excited about music again? I've talked about this album and band previously, even in this same video, and that is going to be Fallen by Evanescence. Yes, it's commercial. No, it's not very challenging. It's actually quite simple, but there are some like little things in there that you don't really notice unless you really listen closely. Kind of like a wealth of little hidden artifacts. It's very catchy, it's dark and dramatic, and it is everything that I want in music, and it just kind of makes me feel like I'm 11 years old again. So I'm gonna choose this one every time. Number 18 is There's Waldo. Show a classic or older album that you somehow overlooked for many years that you loved as soon as you heard it. I have 2 for this one. Obvious answer, Dio, Holy Diver. I'm not the hugest fan of like traditional heavy metal. I find it, it's kind of similar to power metal, just overly cheesy, and it just doesn't click with me. There's a certain kind of attitude to it that just doesn't really mesh well with my musical sensibilities, but this album is awesome. And I feel like this album is what every traditional heavy metal album should sound like. I actually tried asking Reddit once for recommendations similar to this. I think I went to a less popular subreddit, so it didn't really yield any results. But I'm open to suggestions that are similar to Holy Diver by Dio. fucking epic. My second one that I have is Slow, Deep, and Hard by Type O Negative. I really don't care for this band that much, but I do think this debut is really, really killer. High energy. I love the way that this band incorporates that thrash crossover sound with that more gothic doominess. It kind of just hits in a way that no other Type O really does for me. This is another band that I think I kind of listened to out of obligation. But this album really is that strong, and I kind of wish the rest of their material was more like this than, say, Bloody Kisses, which is an album that I really do think is much worse than people give it credit for. Don't at me, but those are my opinions. Number 19 is Hello, My Name Is. Was there a video or stream that you participated in during 2025 that you're especially proud of? Include a link in the description. I don't really post that much, and I didn't participate in any streams. However, I kind of am proud of myself for kind of reviving the channel again this past year. So I'm going to say just that first video of 2025 is going to be what I'm proud of, which I believe was a haul, because I did the 2024 Wrapped in the last week of 2024 and then followed it up a week later with a haul, and it kind of like cemented like, okay, this is something that I'm going to do. And even though I've been kind of sparse and it's not really been the most prominent thing in my life, I'm at least trying to put myself out there a little bit. I don't even think I'm very good at this, just because I think any kind of abstraction of like an audience or a person that I'm supposed to be talking to makes me immediately like feel like an idiot, and I can't think as well. I just become a lot less articulate whenever I'm in front of a camera like this, and I don't love the feeling, but I'm trying to get over it a little bit, especially since, you know, job interviews, it's oftentimes through a camera. So, you know, if it helps, it helps. And number 20, Into Glory Ride. Name a band that you want to see release one more great album before they retire. I feel like I don't really have anything for this because so many of the bands, older bands I love, are already broken up with and they've decided to move on with their musical or personal lives. I'm gonna, I don't know, I guess I'll say Nightwish is currently on hiatus. I kind of would like to see one last really strong Nightwish album, because that last one that we got was really good. It was good. I think if they decided to kind of close the book on their career with that most recent album, Yesterwind or Yesterwind, however you say it, I think that would be an okay farewell. I'd be okay with it, because it is a strong record after 4 records that I thought were just kind of duds. But I would love to see them come back with one more that really summed up their sound, and their legacy. My other one would be Evanescence. I know I brought them up 3 times this video, but they're always kind of on hiatus, and they're always kind of not threatening to break up, but the fan base is kind of expecting it all the time. We didn't really expect there to be more music after 2011. So if they could like really fucking release one last album that really hit the ball out of the park, I think I'd be happy. Especially, again, the last album was so meh. It's been 5 years. I think those are my two answers. Everyone else is gone already, or is like, has been currently in the process of releasing an album. So there's very few bands I'm like really hoping for like one last hurrah. Especially since I don't love a lot of those older bands that seem to be like the hype machines. You know, I have very particular taste, apparently. And with that, we come to the end of the Metal Tag 2026. Thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comments, I guess. I'm going to go drink water and rest my voice, because I feel like, again, since I'm talking to a machine and it feels so unnatural, I always talk wrong, and it hurts my speaking voice. So, I'm gonna skedaddle. Thanks for watching. Expect a haul or something soon. There'll be something. And thanks. Bye.